Right now, pause. Somewhere in your home. Two ancient eyes are fixed on you, not measuring your posture or your clothes, but listening to the weather of your soul. To them, you are a living aurora, colors shifting with every thought you won't say out loud, every feeling you tried to hide. What if that unblinking stare isn't judgment, but a diagnosis? What if the spot your cat chooses, the doorway it guards, the sudden purr at your chest are answers to a question you didn't know you were asking? An overlooked Edgar Cayce reading hinted that some beings see the light we leak when we think and feel, and few see it more clearly than the creature curled at your feet, prismatic sight tuned to patterns that tell the truth about who you are and where you're headed. Look back at those eyes and remember the one line this video will prove true. They don't see flesh, they see your soul. Quick note: if this kind of calm, soul-centered storytelling helps you see everyday moments in a new light, tap subscribe now. It's free. You can turn it off anytime, and it tells us to keep making more of these gentle, deep dives. Now, picture this. Margaret, late 50s, tidy brownstone kitchen still warm from the dishwasher cycle, calls for her Persian, Duchess. No jingling tag, no soft thump from the stairs, just that watchful silence cats make when they've decided to move differently around you. For weeks, Duchess has been opting out of their old routines. No more sleeping pressed to Margaret's side, no curling into her lap during evening news, no slow good morning loaf on the duvet. Instead, the cat has taken up strategic positions, thresholds, mostly sitting exactly where hallway meets bedroom or kitchen meets living room, as if the line itself matters. When Margaret approaches, Duchess doesn't bolt, but she doesn't yield either. The eyes fix, unblinking, not angry, not scared, more like a nurse at triage deciding which room you belong in. Treats don't work. The good brush doesn't work. A new cat tree, sniffed, ignored. It isn't furniture. It isn't boredom. It's her. That realization sneaks in on a Tuesday when Margaret reaches to scoop Duchess and feels the cat's body tense the moment her hand passes her chest, as if that exact area pulls a thread the animal can't ignore. Odd little beats begin to stack. Duchess refuses the favorite blanket, but returns to the same spot on the couch cushion. Margaret leans on. She shadows the hallway at night, but won't cross into the bedroom until Margaret settles. Then drifts away the second Margaret sits up and sighs. To friends, it sounds like cat attitude. To Margaret, who knows the calendar of this creature's tiny habits by heart, it feels pointed, like the animal is standing between her and something she can't name. She tries to logic it out: new detergent, a draft by the window, that neighbor's dog, all reasonable, all wrong, because every so often, when Margaret forgets to analyze and simply breathes, Duchess softens pads over, places a paw on the same small spot near Margaret's sternum, and purrs for exactly 30 seconds before withdrawing, as if the job, for now, is done. If you've ever had a pet, choose a doorway to guard, a chair to claim, or a place on your body to warm that you didn't even know ached. You know the unnerving tenderness of it. It doesn't feel like judgment. It feels like a message you almost understand. And here's the unsettling question that won't let Margaret sleep. What if the behavior isn't rejection at all, but a kind of guidance? What if the animal she loves is responding to a pattern? She can't see something about her that shows up not in mirrors, but in the quiet glow we carry when we're fine, and the small flickers we give off when we're not. It's easy to wave this away as superstition. It's harder when the pattern holds, when days turn into weeks, and the cat's map of the home rearranges itself around the human doorways guarded, rooms declined, touches allowed only where they seem to matter. Before we jump to conclusions, know this isn't medical advice, it's a story about attention, because sometimes the first nudge we get isn't from a symptom or a headline, it's from a pair of eyes at the edge of a doorway, waiting for us to finally ask, okay, what are you trying to tell me? When Margaret finally ran out of guesses, a friend nudged her towards something most people only hear about in documentaries: Edgar Cayce, the American intuitive whose readings were taken down by stenographers while he spoke in a deep, prayerful trance. In one such session, the kind that made ordinary people feel oddly seen, Cayce offered a frame that sounds strange until it doesn't. Your pet isn't judging you, it's reading you. Not your hairstyle or your mood for the day, but the light you give off when you think and feel. He put it simply enough to stick: the feline sees not flesh and bone, but the emanation of the soul, a living symphony that brightens when we're well and ripples when something's off. That idea doesn't replace doctors or common sense, it adds another kind of attention. Imagine it less like a microscope and more like a prism to us. A person is a person to a cat. A person is a field color, motion, temperature, a map. That would explain the doorway sitting, the 30-second purr on the same spot near the chest, the refusal to cross a threshold until you settle. In the Cayce lens, those aren't quirks, they're signals. And for people like Margaret, practical, busy, not looking to get mystical, this isn't about buying crystals or arguing online, it's about noticing what has been quietly consistent all along. Cayce's value wasn't that he asked you to believe blindly, it's that he invited you to test gently, watch, record, compare, stay humble. If the animal you love keeps pointing to the same place, the same time of night, the same doorway, maybe it's time to listen. Not with fear, but with curiosity and care. That's the only kind of authority that lasts, the kind that sends you back into your own life paying better attention. Thank you for staying with me this far. It means a lot. Here's where the story gets real. After weeks of doorway duty and that precise 30-second purr near her sternum, Margaret finally booked a checkup, not because she was panicking, but because something about the pattern felt too consistent to ignore. The nurse clipped on the leads, the EKG traced its quiet ink, and the doctor did that careful pause professionals do when they see something early but fixable. Follow-up tests confirmed what Margaret couldn't have known on her own: subtle, early cardiac stress. Not a catastrophe, not a headline yet, but a turning point if she let it be. Lifestyle tweaks, medication, a plan. Relief washed in hard and soft. At the same time, the cat wasn't rejecting her. The cat had been flagging her. That's the stake of this video, and it's why your attention matters. The signs were there, we just hadn't learned how to look. This isn't medical advice, it's a reminder that patterns speak. If an animal you trust keeps hovering over the same spot, guarding the same threshold, shifting its routine around you, treat that as data with a heartbeat. Notice, write it down, call your doctor. Most of what we worry about isn't real, but some of what we ignore is, and catching the difference early is often the line between a scare and a story you get to tell years from now. Before we go deeper, thanks for sticking with me. Let's connect the dots in plain English and talk about the how. Think of Cayce's idea not as a microscope but as a prism. Most of us see a person as one solid thing. Your cat seems to read you as a field with different layers that brighten, dim, or get noisy depending on what's going on. Start with the most obvious layer, the body. When something in the body is under stress, the field near that area feels off, our posture changes, our breath shortens, our temperature and micro-movements shift. You and I might shrug that off. A cat notices and quietly repositions, hovering by the chair you lean on, choosing the side of the couch where your chest rests, refusing to settle where your body seems restless. Next comes the emotional layer. Emotions have patterns. Anger runs hot and forward. Sadness collapses inward. Joy expands and softens. Cats respond to those patterns like seasoned lifeguards reading a shoreline. On anxious days, they may seek height or doorways, perching where they can manage the flow in and out. On peaceful days, they puddle next to you without guard duty. Then the mind layer, mental overdrive, has a signature: tapping feet, fidgety hands, a scattered gaze, the way we ping-pong from room to room. Notice how a cat will either interrupt that cycle, a head bump, a paw on your wrist when you're doom scrolling, or refuse to participate, turning its back until your attention lands. The fourth layer is what Cayce called soul intention, which is just a simple question, dressed up fancy. What are you really aiming at today? When our actions line up with our ideals, our field feels coherent. When we're saying yes while meaning no, the whole system hums wrong. That's when you'll see ultra-specific behaviors. The cat blocks the hallway you use to rush into obligations, or plants itself by the door you keep meaning to close on an unhealthy habit. After that, imagine a relationship's layer, the residue of our closest ties. Tough conversations we're avoiding, gratitude we haven't voiced, boundaries we mean to keep. Those can make a room feel thick, and animals will either cut through it by initiating contact or refuse the space until we clear the air. There's also what you might call the memory layer, old patterns we replay without noticing. Cats are masters of rhythm. They know the minute-to-minute choreography of a home. When they break their own routine repeatedly around you, new patrol routes, sudden interest in one chair, leaving the bedroom at the exact moment you start ruminating, that's feedback about a loop you're running. Finally, there's the spirit directive layer, the quiet north on your inner compass. On days you honor it, the whole field feels navigable. On days you drift, your pet behaves like a lighthouse appearing in thresholds, guiding you to sit, nudging you to breathe, then releasing you once you've reset. If this sounds poetic, keep it practical. None of this replaces doctors or data. It just gives you another readout to consult. The mechanism here isn't magic. It's attention stacked over time. Animals live low to the ground in the present tense. They track micro changes we edit out, layer by layer. They respond to coherence and incoherence with simple moves. Approach, avoid, anchor, alert. When Margaret's cat paused at the doorway, that was a boundary check. Something at the edge of in here and out there needed sorting. When she placed a paw on the sternum and purred, that was an anchor. Bring breath and warmth to this spot now. When she withdrew after 30 seconds, that was the all clear enough for this round. You don't have to believe in auras to work with this. You only have to ask, what pattern is my animal repeating around me? And what does that suggest about body, emotion, mind, intention, relationships, memory, or direction? If the same answer keeps coming up, same spot, same time, same threshold, treat it like you would any other dashboard light. First, notice. Second, write it down. Third, pair it with a grounded check: sleep, stress, hydration, appointments. The beauty of this model is that it doesn't demand faith, it rewards consistency. Give it 2 weeks of gentle observation, and you'll either see the pattern dissolve as you realign, or you'll gather enough clarity to take the next wise step with your health and your life. Every time your cat purrs against you, they're creating specific frequencies that help stabilize and repair damaged areas in your energy field. Let's translate that into everyday terms you can actually use. First, the purr. It isn't cute background noise, it's a metronome your body can sync to. When a cat settles on your chest and you feel that low, even rumble, think coherence. In the Cayce frame, different purr ranges seem to cue different kinds of repair. Roughly around 25 Hz is often associated with heart and soft tissue support, while the mid-30s, about 35-40 Hz, have long been linked, anecdotally, to bone recovery and reduced inflammation. You don't need a lab to test the spirit of this. Sit still. Breathe into the exact spot your cat chooses, and notice whether your breath and heart rates smooth out as the purr holds steady for 20 to 60 seconds. If your cat consistently targets the same area, log it like you would a step count: date, time, location on the body, how you felt before and after. Second, energy absorption. You've probably seen a pet claim the corner of your lower back, knee, or belly and refuse to move. In plain English, treat that as a heat-seeking behavior for imbalance. Many owners report that when a cat parks on a sore place for a week or two, the owner ends up addressing a real issue: hydration, posture, stress, digestion, and the cat stops camping there once it resolves. The practical move is simple: accept the session, hydrate, stretch the area gently later. And if the attention repeats for days, schedule the checkup you've been putting off. A cat taking on your stuff is not a reason to panic. It's a prompt to act. Third, touch and kneading. Those little biscuits on your lap, just affection. They're a tidy way to iron out wrinkles in your system. Watch how the paws pattern over tense muscle groups: jaw, shoulders, solar plexus, and how the cat alternates pressure until your breathing lengthens and your shoulders drop. If you want to cooperate, breathe out during the press and imagine your exhale moving through the tightness like warm water. Keep your phone down, let the rhythm finish. You'll often notice a small, reset yawn, tingling in the hands, a feeling of, "Ah, that's better," followed by the cat turning into a loaf and dozing. That's the sign the cycle completed for now. Fourth, the night shield. Lots of people report fewer bad dreams and more restful sleep when a cat chooses the bedroom, not because of magic, but because routine plus presence equals safety to the nervous system. Think of your pet as a lighthouse on the shoreline of your night. Its station at the foot of the bed or the doorway marks the boundary of "in here is safe." If you're a light sleeper, try a simple ritual: lights dim, 1 minute hand on heart. Whisper an intention you actually mean: "Peace in my home tonight." Then let the room get boring. If the cat chooses a doorway instead of the bed, don't force it. That threshold post says, "I've got the perimeter, your job is to let go." A few practical tips make all 4 modes more effective. Consistency beats intensity. So aim for short daily windows rather than rare marathon sessions. Pair cat data with common sense care: water, walks, medication as prescribed, real meals. And avoid chasing the cat to make something happen. Invite, notice, allow, record. Patterns matter more than one-offs. If you're a data person, print a tiny body map and dot the places your cat chooses over 2 weeks. If the same dot lights up, you have a case for deeper attention. None of this is medical advice, but it is a friendly system for listening before the body has to shout. And if this kind of grounded, heart-level approach is helping, consider hitting subscribe so you don't miss the 3-step practice we'll do later. Gentle, no fluff. Something you can try tonight with the animal already trying to help you. Before we move on, let's pull the camera back a notch and ask a bigger question. What if your cat isn't just a pet, but part of a longer story? You and it started a very long time ago. Ancient cultures treated cats like partners, not ornaments, because they sensed what Edgar Cayce later put into plain words: cats serve as ambassadors from higher dimensional realms, not here to boss us around, but to keep us aligned with what matters when we forget. In that frame, the odd loyalty you feel, the instant click with one animal and not another, isn't random chemistry. It's continuity, old work picking up where it left off. Picture it like this: somewhere in your personal archive is a room labeled temple. And whether or not you believe in temples, you've walked that room before. The story that survives in whispers says some of us once served in places like the Temple of Bast, where teaching, healing, and alertness were one craft, and now the roles rotate. In one life you guided, in this one you're being guided. And the guidance arrives in the most ordinary ways: a threshold guarded, a chest warmed, a restless night calmed. That might sound poetic until you notice how it plays out during crisis. In hard seasons, wars, blackouts, personal grief, people feel a sudden pull to shelter cats. And cats show up like clockwork to camp in living rooms and hospital rooms, doing what they've always done best: holding a steady frequency of calm love when our collective nervous system spikes. If you've ever watched a house full of tension settle the moment the animal picks a spot and goes still, you've seen the ambassador job in action. This mythic lens isn't an escape from reality. It gives reality a backbone. It says, Your home can be a small temple again, not because you decorate it that way, but because you treat attention like a sacred act. It says, instant bonds make sense, souls recognize each other, remember old vows, and resume unfinished lessons with very little small talk. It says the aloofness you sometimes feel isn't rejection, but an honest boundary, not this person, not that room, not until we're clear. And for someone like Margaret, that changes the whole tone of the relationship. Duchess stops being a cat with quirks and becomes a teacher with a timetable. Meet me at the doorway. Breathe when I tell you. Rest when I stand guard. Go get checked when I press the same place twice. When you see it that way, gratitude comes easy. You feed, you play, you keep appointments, and you remember that love isn't just a feeling, it's a practice two beings agreed to before either of you had a name. Whether you call that destiny, a soul contract, or simply a beautiful coincidence you're willing to honor, the effect in daily life is the same: more attention, less noise, and a quiet sense that your little corner of the world is being watched over by something both ancient and kind. Let's put this on solid ground and keep it practical. What you can verify today is pattern and response. When a cat repeats the same behavior 3 times, parks on the same spot of your body, guards the same doorway at the same hour, interrupts the same doom scroll loop that's a usable signal. Modern lenses give this some footing without asking you to get mystical. Our nervous systems co-regulate with steady rhythms. Think rocking a baby. Attention entrains to predictable pulses. A metronome slows your breathing, and animals are exquisitely tuned to small shifts in our scent, posture, and routine. Trained medical alert animals respond to subtle changes long before we notice. While cats aren't certified in the same way, countless owners observe similarly precise attentiveness. Low-frequency vibration is being studied in various recovery contexts, which makes the purr as a calming, organizing rhythm, a reasonable working hypothesis, not a cure, not a prescription. So we combine lanes, use your pet's patterns to prompt sensible action, and let professionals handle diagnosis. A simple rule of thumb: if your cat fixates on one area or one threshold for a week, do 3 things. 1, log sleep, stress, hydration, and any symptoms. 2, make or keep the checkup you've been postponing. 3, support the basics: walks, real meals, medication as prescribed, sleep hygiene. If your cat seems unwell during this, call the vet. Don't project meaning onto behavior that needs care. None of this is medical advice, and nothing here replaces your doctor. It's a way to notice sooner and act earlier. The bridge is humble: observe, record, compare, consult. When you treat attention like data, the mystical pieces simply become one more dashboard light that helps you steer your life with a little less panic and a lot more care. Tonight, try a simple 3-step practice you can actually finish. Step 1. 3. Quiet minutes with your cat. No judgment, put your phone face down. Sit where you both naturally relax, and let the animal choose the distance. Breathe low and easy through your nose, counting a gentle in 4, out 6 if it helps. Don't coax or analyze, just notice. Do they approach, avoid, anchor, on a spot, or alert at a threshold? Treat whatever happens as valid data, not a performance you have to control. Step 2. Write down 1 repeating signal and 1 feeling that shows up with it on a notepad. Jot a single line like doorway guard at 9:30 p.m. I feel tense in my chest, or paw on sternum. Calmer after 30 seconds. Keep it stupid simple. You're collecting patterns, not poetry. If the same pairing repeats 3 times in a week, star it. That's your cue to support the basics. Water, real meals, a short walk, earlier bedtime, and if it centers on a body spot or symptom, to book or keep the checkup you've been postponing. Step 3. Bedtime ritual. 1 minute lights dim, hand on heart, 1 slow breath in, longer breath out. Whisper an intention you actually mean. Peace in this room. Thank you for the help, or let me see with eyes of love. If your cat chooses the doorway instead of the bed, don't force closeness. That's its version of standing watch, so your nervous system can let go. Close with gratitude. Name one thing that went right today, even if it's tiny. That's it. 3 minutes to observe. 1 line to record. 1 minute to reset. Do it for 7 nights and you'll either watch the pattern dissolve as you realign, or you'll have clear notes to guide your next wise step. This doesn't replace medical care. It helps you notice sooner, act earlier, and sleep a little easier with a small, faithful lighthouse on duty. The cat serves as a bridge between worlds. Let that line land for a second, because if you've watched this far, you've probably felt it, some small, steady presence in your life that asks nothing and gives calm. Tonight, when those eyes meet yours, remember what this whole story has been pointing to. They don't see your outfits or your to-do list. They sense the weather of your soul. And the invitation isn't to become mystical, it's to become kind. Kind in how you breathe, how you pay attention, how you tell the truth to yourself. If you can look at your own life with the same patient, non-judgmental gaze your cat offers you, something softens. The room gets quieter. Choices get simpler. Love becomes less of a feeling and more of a practice you do on purpose. So thank you for spending this time together. If this helped you see familiar moments in a new light, please tap like and subscribe so we can bring you the next chapter, what 99% of souls see in the first 7 days after death. I think it will connect some dots you've been sensing for years. And I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, what's the biggest signal your cat has ever given you? A guarded doorway, a 30-second purr on the same spot, a night they refused to leave your side. Your story might be the nudge someone else needs. Until then, sleep well. Let the little lighthouse at the edge of your bed do its work. And meet your own life tomorrow with gentler eyes, the kind that see past the noise and notice the light that's been there all along.